Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen.
This week's question is a statement. Tell us about a bridge in a song or a few that stand or stands out to you and why. P.S. No. So, you guys all know what a bridge is.
A bridge is a contrasting section that prepares for the return to the original material.
It could also be known as a middle eight.
Yeah. See, that's good. But you know what? I have a bunch of definitions, so we'll throw up bridge, coda, and like refrains. And then you people will know that stuff.
I feel like for me, bridges are like hit or miss. Like sometimes it can kind of ruin a song or like take a momentum out of it or something. Other times it makes it more exciting and then brings it back to, something else. But one I wanted to talk about that I don't care for is in a song that I really like, but I just can't get past this bridge. It's a Velvet Underground song called Lisa Says. And it's a great tune. And then all of a sudden he gets to the bridge and he's just like, I don't know, he's like putting minimal effort into it. I imagine him, we lost Joe.
We lost Joe years ago.
He's offended by my choice of lousy bridge.
Well, yeah.
He's last, he'll come back.
Yeah, who would want to miss this one?
Well, some other ones that I actually like, there's a song by Beck called Steal My Body Home. It's on Mellow Gold album. And it's a really long, kind of almost like boring-ish song. The lyrics are cool, but then at the end, it's like this bridge. I guess maybe, is that a coda? Oh, Rodney, you're going to give us definitions later.
Well, I know I made a little graphic because I was afraid that somebody might have a thing about a bridge without explaining to the audience what it is.
Yeah. But we'll provide links to all these songs and stuff. But it's cool at the end of that song. It just kind of like changes in tone and production sound and mood. I thought of a couple actually Dead Milkmen songs, and it happened tonight while we were practicing a particular. I would just talk about it. Tacoland. It's a great bridge in that. That kind of like, I don't know. To me, that's a perfect definition of a bridge because like it's the same kind of like rhythm stuff, but it changes the notes or the key briefly. And kind
of does it go up like a third or something, or
it goes to like, let's see, C to G, and then it does like a half step up, and it does this kind of weird like climb back into like the regular parts. Also, a song that people watching haven't heard yet, but you guys have, is King of Sick. I think has an awesome. Actually, it's got kind of two bridges, but. The one at the end kind of just, I remember when we were working on it, I was kind of like, this is weird, but I love it. I look forward to hearing it. There's Joe.
Yeah, we got to quit bad mouthing him now because he can hear us.
I think he could hear us. He just couldn't be seen.
All right.
He's in the only place scarier than Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment.
And I guess I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a Kinks song. So, they're actually great with their bridges, but one that stood out is Lola. Like, do that like kind of that's another good, for me, it's a good definition of like a bridge where it's not like too deviated from the rest of the music, but it's different enough that it's not like the verse and chorus. So yeah, other than that, I'd like to hear what you guys think about bridges.
Okay. We talked briefly about the definition. Something that I wanted to add was to achieve the bridge effect, sometimes people will use a different time signature, a different sets of chords, or a key change that's related to the existing song as it is. I have three to mention, and they all use different kinds of bridges. The first one I want to mention is one which I call the minimalist bridge. There's a band that I like called Battery Operated Orchestra, and they have a song called The Getaway. And the bridge in the song is pretty much just like a verse with Bridget singing, but they drop out most of the instrumentation. So it's like a bare verse. And then it comes back into a full sounding chorus and ending to the song. So it provides a good contrast and a good transition to the end of the song. The second one I wanted to talk about is what I call the guitar solo bridge. The Police did one in one of my favorite songs called Driven to Tears. And this contains, in my opinion, one of the best 12-second guitar solos ever. And then it goes back to a verse, and then the ending of the song actually reprises the bridge chords and ends with an instrumental chorus. So that's another way. And then the third one I wanted to mention is basically, maybe a more standard style bridge, which is sung, but it may change in tone and chord structure. Tiny Ruins has a song called Me at the Museum and You in the Wintergardens. And this bridge is sung, but it has kind of a lifting feeling to the rest of the song. And then it goes back to a regular verse and to the end of the song. So we can provide a link to all those, and you can hear examples of what I'm talking about there. So
We could provide them, but we won't.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to ask also what you guys think about key changes as a bridge, because I think it's a cop-out.
It is kind of a cop-out, I think.
Ooh, you're throwing.
It's like, I can't figure out how to end this song. Let's just change the key and riff the same
I'm
thing.
trying to think if there's like Dead Milkmen songs that do modulation, key changes.
Yes, we do.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
Yeah. I went through a real frick period. I was like, I am an artist. I'm going to change the key in this spot.
Like Stage Sunshine.
I don't think it's a cop-out.
I didn't write that one.
I thought you wrote the music for the intro.
I never, maybe. Oh, I don't. Yeah. Okay. You're right. Yeah. All right. Then that is, there's a lot of potential. If I'm involved, and you can hear like a big organ. Okay. So I'm going to first, thank you for having this topic, because I'm so tired of people in the comments section saying, "What's your favorite bridge?" I remember.
Where's that confounded bridge?
Yeah, first time that I went to see Black Sabbath, I wonder what there is only one bridge, and that is, of course, the Goatman Bridge, which I'm surprised we didn't begin with, and we should have a song about. So I'll give you 4 examples. They're going to go from concrete to the first 3 will go from concrete to abstract. And then the third one will be one of my favorite ones. And I sometimes will join the band on stage just so I can sing on the bridge. The first one is David Bowie's Life on Mars. If you listen to the bridge in that's a very standard bridge. It's sort of a bridge you would have found in like a 40s ballad. It's basically, there's a bit of a key change there. There's no vocals. It just, modulates and it does its thing. And then it goes back into the song. And which is really what a bridge did for the longest time. For the longest time, there was no bridge, and everybody would just sing the same thing over and over again. And then somebody invented the chorus, and somebody said, let's find a weird way to break this up, and there are intros. So that, if you listen to a lot of punk songs, like garage songs, there's no bridge. There's just, and then, they move on. I think black metal will occasionally have a bridge, which is another reason to love those people. So it's pretty standard. If you give a listen to Life on Mars, that bridge is pretty, you hear it, you know it, and it's good. And Life on Mars is actually, I think, a version of My Way. So it would be a little bit on the standard side. Up next, The Robots by Kraftwerk. There's 2 bridges in here, and they are both weird as shit, and they almost shouldn't belong. And if you cover the song, you are free to do anything in these 2 bridge sections. And I think they work really nicely. And it was almost like Kraftwerk thought, one day somebody else may want to do this. Let's make it fun for them. So I really do enjoy those. The other thing, which of course, Sisters of Mercy, Lucretia, My Reflection. Now, Patricia Morrissey is here, but she's probably not going to come. Patricia, put my bass down. Put it down. I'm a big fan of this song and the repetitive bass line and stuff. There is a bridge in the song somewhere, and I have no idea where it is. I couldn't pinpoint it, and I'm pretty good at this shit. I couldn't put my finger on it if my life depended on it, because as you know, the song is like doom, 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 doom. It's the same repetitive bass thing, but they make it interesting by sort of playing around. So maybe it's, I hear the sons of the city and dispossessed, maybe that part. But it's interesting because you do somewhere in there psychologically feel like there's a bridge. As for one of my favorite bridges, it's really well used. There's a song by Ego Likeness called Devils in the Chemical. And if you go search on the web, you'll probably find me up on stage singing it with them. The bridge is so good. It is so good. It's like, with curses on the tongues of angels and poison in the wishing well. Our karma's burning down your temple. Without your souls, what will you sell? What will you sell? It's this great little bridge that appears in the song. One bridge in there, perfect, comes right back into Devils in the Chemical as like a refrain. So I really like that. And if you write a really good bridge and you want me to join you on stage, yes, I will. And I will join you at the Goatman Bridge. So now, since Joe has so kind. Hey, Joe, I got a message from you saying that I can't join. But it seems once again, you have been proven to be a liar.
That's right. Well, here I am. I actually like chord key changes in bridges. I don't think it's necessarily a cop out, although in a lot of songs that do that they'd be too boring if they didn't have a bridge. And
Jesse's Girl.
For the Ramones have a song that I always liked. The bridge to the bridge, I think, makes the song, and that's called Outsider. And I think that's a song where Dee Dee sings the bridge. It's basically, the song is, I'm an outsider, outside of everything I know. And then if it couldn't get any bleaker, Dee Dee comes in the bridge as a key change. Like three half steps down, and then it does like a 1-5-4, which is typical for the Ramones. That's, they do the 1-4-5 or 1-5-4. But this song wasn't a 1-5-4-5 song. It was like a AG and GA. Those were, AG is the verse and GA is the chorus. So it's just it's not terribly interesting, but it works for the song. And then Dee Dee sings, all messed up, hey everyone, I've already had all my fun, more troubles gonna come. It's just so bleak, but it's so uplifting to hear that key change. And it just, I don't know. Always like that.
Something similar on 53rd and 3rd too.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying key changes in bridges were a cop out. I think it's a cop out when they're trying to end the song by just like playing the chorus in a different key.
Yeah, that's basically, that's what I was talking about. Like Jesse's Girl. That always stands out to me as like bullshit.
Do not let Donna Lynch hear you say that.
Yeah, they're
Rick Springfield is one of her favorite artists. For real. I'm not making that up. I also like this. Remember his cartoon series, Mission Magic? You're friends with Rick Springfield. Rick Springfield had a cartoon before he was famous. That, he's like semi-famous, called Mission Magic. Look it up. Google it, people. It was Mission Position Magic. Sorry.
The Kinks have a song I really, really love the bridge to. It might be my favorite bridge. It's the song Two Sisters.
Oh, yeah.
Which Dan and I learned and played before. But it also has a key change, three half steps up instead of like down the way the Ramones song was. But it twists and turns and slides back into the original key. And I think I like bridges for that too, how they have the clever unexpected chords to get them back into the original key. And that could be any key change, but those are the two I thought of.
Everybody needs to tell us their favorite bridge in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a desperate plea for psychological help, people. Oh my God, I don't think my heart can take much more of these.
Bridge over troubled waters. Bridge to Caribbean.
There you go. There's plenty of bridge songs. Yeah.
Bridge too far. So on to recommendations.
Yeah.
I would like to recommend something that I saw the other day, made by a fan. who has done a different Dead Milkmen song. I'm trying to remember which one, but I recommended it before. The channel is named, he's Yoya420. And he's done, I think they have done a video for Grandpa's Not a Racist. And I don't know how old they are, but I think like maybe 14, 15. And I gotta say, it's pretty darn good. And it looks like they put a lot of work into it. So put a link to that.
Cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
I would like to recommend a website called visualframeworks.com. Visual Frameworks, a language of patterns. There are patterns to help you think creatively, reframe your challenging situations, and imagine possible strategies and solutions. If you think of a situation or a challenge that's on your mind right now, you can click on one of the images and it'll provide more detail. It's a pretty interesting site that makes you think in different ways about solving problems. So I recommend it.
Whenever I need to solve problems, I just shove scissors into my head. And that is how I got hired to produce the Goat Whore album. Okay, I got a bunch of stuff to recommend, so let me get moving here. The first is over on my channel, each month, sometimes more than once a month, I will cover a song. I did it the other last month was what's the name of that damn song? A song by Being Boyle by Human League. So I did that last month. This month it is The Chauffeur by Duran Duran, and I make it super scary. So it's like The Chauffeur filtered through Dario Argento. So I hope you will give that a listen. And like I say, it's a monthly thing. I'm sort of recreating life at the Blitz Club. All right, now my big recommendation for you folks. Last week or last Saturday, our friends Paul and Karen called and said, "Hey, guys, want to go look for the Jersey Devil?" And we said, yes, of course. So we went out to Wharton State Park first and walked all around there. That was great. And then we went down to Leeds Point because I know where the Devil's House is. And there's the Devil's House. And then we had to turn around near the Devil's House, go down the road by it. And there's a man who lives down there who has more no trespassing signs than I've ever seen in my life. And a lot of like, you will be shot. And as we were backing out, we hit a tree branch and Vienna jumped 8 feet in the air. So I shot a bunch of footage of it, which I boiled down, and we can show it at the end of this just to make you people hopefully want to go to Leeds Point. We went to the cemetery there where they have graves with upside down pentagrams on them. It's nothing satanic. It was actually a women's auxiliary type thing for the Freemasons called the Order of the Morning Star, which was also what they call Lucifer. But anyway, Vienna was real happy when she realized this. But Karen and Paul, who are fashion designers, we had a really good time, and it was great. There are great restaurants down there. I'm going to recommend, so watch, if it should get you in the mood to go there. And if you want to take your kids, first your kids should learn about the Jersey Devil. But if you want to gussy it up, like, my children don't go anywhere that's not educational, well, you can actually explain to them monster theory. Monster theory explains why we create certain monsters. The Jersey Devil was probably created as a slight against the Pineys. Also, there was a group called the Calicacs, a family who were one of the first sort of eugenics targets. And so this all fits in together. So you can explain that to your kids, and it can be a learning experience. Also, I'm going to recommend, since you're doing the Jersey Devil deep dive, I recommend the thing called Is the Jersey Devil Real? Boogeymen, Jersey Devil. This features mother and daughter Jersey Devil enthusiast Jerry and Sherry Plumeri. Yes, that's them, Jerry and Sherry Plumeri. And Jerry is the woman that gave us the line, "No other state has a Jersey Devil." And that's true. I've been to North Dakota. Also, no other state has a New Jersey Expressway. All right, and then finally, there's a saying, it's easy to be a wise man on a mountaintop. Last week, Dan had the book Into the Wild, which was about Alexander Supertramp, whose name was actually Chris McCandless. I had heard Dan when he said it, reminded me, I recently listened to an episode of the You're Wrong About podcast where they sort of looked into the legend of Alexander Supertramp, and a lot of it is bullshit. So I'm going to recommend the article, The Beatification of Chris McCandless, From Thieving Poacher to Saint. Alexander Supertramp, although he's held up as this hero of the environment and stuff like that, was actually not. He was a guy who smuggled a gun into Mexico, Another one, Back into America. He was Mr. Nobody. I don't want the government in my business. Basically, he was 2 beers away from being a sovereign citizen. Like, Your Honor, I was not driving, I was traveling. So I would recommend. This is an article written by, I think, the Alaska Times, and the people up in Alaska have had enough of these sort of folks. So that is my 3 recommendations for this week.
My recommendation is don't believe anything I say, or anything I say if it pertains to a memory, because my memory lane is filled with potholes and detours and mixed up road signs. But
do you have corrections for last week?
I have corrections for last week. That's what
my recommendation. Does this explain how I got?
Watch last week's video if you want. No. If you've already seen it, yes. I claim that we did a tour in February. We did do a tour in February after we recorded Eat Your Paisley in January. But actually the tour that we had the minivan on was in December, so it was before we came up with the name. Basically, we came up with the name Eat Your Paisley before the album was recorded. And then in February, we went on we did buy our van, our blue hospital van, in January. And I remember that because someone put in the comments that they saw us on that tour open for Johnny Thunders, and I realized that wasn't the minivan tour. And I actually
opened the monitor.
Yeah. Oh, please, dear God, I'm going to have a Johnny Thunders flashback.
I remember that show very well. I remember the venue, and yes, the sound check, and
that poor guitarist from Toronto. I just want to go home. Folks, that's a whole episode of the show.
Okay, but that's what got me into realizing that I misremembered. And I also
misremembered.
So my timeline is incorrect.
Little misremembered.
And then if you actually were one of the few people to watch it all the way to the end, the band wasn't the Virgin Prunes, that it was the Electric Prunes that Dave and I tried to prank Rodney into thinking that we wrote an old obscure song that Dave uncovered of the Electric Prunes. But I am
more of a Virgin Prunes fan. Pagan Love Song is one of my favorite songs. That's probably why they probably told me it was the Electric Prunes, but I heard Virgin Prunes because Pagan Love Song.
But still, Rodney didn't go for it for 5 seconds.
Yeah, I was born with a pretty good bullshit detector.
So that's my recommend. I also will, since we mentioned the Kinks a couple times, I'll recommend a couple of videos on the Parlogram YouTube channel if you haven't seen them. They're histories of the Kinks, mini histories of the Kinks 1960s albums. It's pretty cool.
And since we mentioned Beck earlier, I'll recommend his album, My E-Meter, Your Funeral. It's really... I don't know. Tune in next week when we grease a hog or something.
Hey, I'm open to
talk about codas.
It's my turn.
Well, codas are the end thing, like an end of a song. Like, like how do we end this? We could fade out, or we could have a little sort of tag lick, or that's a coda. Yeah.
Play the chorus one more time.
Yeah, and Led Zeppelin had an album I think called Coda.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
after John Bonham died.
Yeah. Hey, Patricia, Patricia Morrissey says that they did indeed have an album called Coda. Tell Dave I said hi. Dave Vanian is her husband. You guys know that, right? Patricia Morrissey married to Dave Vanian. If you people don't know that, that is a house I want to get invited to dinner at. That is really, if you folks are watching, I have questions for both of you. All right. So we're out of here. I'm going to push the button that ends the recording.